Hello everybody, Happy New Year. Aaron and Adam here with Chris Willcock as always, reviewing a 3-2 win for Ramsbottom against Pickering. The visitors came into the game today bottom of the table, Chris, but you'd have never have known it, and not just with the scoreline.
Are we allowed to talk, Jans? He said no talking. I'm only kidding. No, you've got to give full credit to Pickering. New manager, fresh emphasis, and the performances over the last 5 games have been decent. I tried to warn the lads regarding complacency, and they've got some decent players who are probably low on confidence at the moment with where they're sitting in the table. But if they play like they've done today, I'm sure they'll create problems for many teams between now and the end of the season, and pick up some points along the way to stave off relegation. But they're certainly better than being bottom of the table.
Tom Kennedy, I thought, had a very good game today. Going forward, particularly, he was a massive threat. From a player of Tom's experience from the Football League, how vital do you think that's going to be in the coming months?
Extremely. Richie too.
Yeah.
You've got to call upon their experiences at certain times during the games. Certain times in between matches, and pre-match, after-match, and a lot of the young lads speak to them constantly, not only about their own games and where they can improve, but also how they can find consistency, their kind of consistency that have got them to the level that they both played at.
Were you surprised with the way Pickering played today, the challenge they created? They weren't, perhaps somebody just looking at this game from the outside would think this would be a rollover for Ramsbottom.
I think everybody coming today, because of our recent results, everybody thinks we're going to score 5.
Yeah.
To be fair, with the chances that we've missed late on, it could have been 5. But, I did warn them prior to kick-off that it's fantasy football, that, and, scoring 5 at home all the time is just not going to happen. And I said it'd be a tough test for us today, and it proved that way. Full credit to them, but also to my team as well for wanting to try and get to 10 unbeaten. And again, it wasn't fast-flowing football from us today, but we've had to dig in at times and defend really well. But again, we've shown moments of quality that says the result in our favour.
You made 2 substitutions in the second half, bringing both Gooden and Rother on. It's not something that you usually do, as far as I am aware. Talk about why you did that today, choosing to make a quick doubles change.
Yeah, I felt, I nearly did it half time, I'll be honest with you. We looked flat, and our energy levels were low today. The quality, we had a lot of ball first half, but our quality really let us down. So I thought I'd give the lads 10 minutes in and see whether we could get off on the right footing. But we started in a similar vein, and I felt it was needed. 2 fresh faces, and it proved to be, again, the subs have come on and had a real impact again, which we've asked them to do week in, week out. Obviously Iris for the first penalty, showing his qualities to get him behind again, and Nidola came on and then just calmed everything down in possession, because he's a really good footballer, and shown some real quality at time in just keeping hold of the ball and making the right decisions. So that was pleasing also.
I think perhaps the second change you made, bringing on Rother instead of Baker, that was perhaps one a little bit more obscure. Baker's been a shining light since he returned, no defeat since Baker's come in. We talked about that after Mosley. But perhaps him coming off and Rother going on was something that people wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah, I think just with Richie, he's carrying a slight niggle, and we felt he wasn't his usual self, and we felt it was the right time to withdraw him and wrap him up in Cornwall for the City Liverpool game. We'll give him a good week to get himself in the right condition for the City Liverpool fixture. And Jay Rothers, he's all action. He's rammy through and through. And he comes on and gives. We wanted energy back in the midfield. I felt like if Eddie Moran a lift, and Josh Amami then started to be a bit more of a threat, with Jay Rother coming on and contributing to the midfield.
2 wins in 2 at the start of 2020. The first came on New Year's Day, of course, over at Trafford. Just a 3rd away win of the season. Do like a narrow nitty-gritty away win like the one we saw at Trafford, is that sometimes just as rewarding as, say, a 7-1 home win against Mosley?
Yeah, I said that to them after the game. For long periods in the second half, Trafford were as good as anybody's been against us at putting us under pressure and asking questions defensively, but I thought we defended magnificently on the day and didn't deserve to concede late on. I thought Richie Baker going in alongside Kelvin to replace Tomo was very good. I thought his communication was excellent and helped us solidify the back four to really defend exceptionally well throughout that game.
Home form has been near enough flawless this season, but away form has been inconsistent. Can you put your finger on why there's been the imbalance?
It was vice versa last season.
Yeah.
I think we went unbeaten away from home. No, you can't put your finger on that. It's it's just one of those things. I think from season to season. But I have said to them, if we're going to put pressure on the teams above us, then our away form has to improve. We can't keep just depending on what we're doing at home, and we've been outstanding for the last 2 months at home. We've got to really start getting our away form, picking up wins on the road, which will help us, climb the table.
In the league now, after Bamber Bridge, we'll quickly talk about that in a second, should the game be played, but 3 away games before Workington at home. Talk about every game being big and how you want to keep extending this winning run, going game by game. But at the end of the season, when we look back on where it went well and where it went wrong, do you think these next 4 games, 12 points up for grabs, does this feel now like a decisive 12 points up for grabs?
Well, we take 5 games at a time. We got 11 points in the first 5 games that the run started. We've now picked up 13 points out of the last 5. I asked for a bigger points haul than we got when this run started. We've managed to do that now. Now we've got, as I say, 3 tough away games, and I think prior to the Workington one, which is way down the line at the moment, I'm going to be really intrigued to see how we do over these 3 away games and whether we can start to put some serious points on the board away from home.
3 away games, probably not hard. It's very strange to see a cluster of 3 consecutive away games. Is there slightly a few more nerves amongst the team than there would be if they were at home?
No, there's no nerves whatsoever. They're full of confidence at the moment, as you can imagine, after the run that we're on. And I think truly now they do believe they can win home and away on any given day if we go about it like we've done in the last 10 games.
A year ago we were in a similar position. I think it was a year ago, drew 1-1 with Leek Town, and before that having beaten Radcliffe 2-1 and then but lost against Atherton Coles, but then it did lead to a playoff run ending in a semi-final defeat. From what you learned last year, will it be, the question I'm basically trying to say is, do you feel better having what happened 12 months ago? Do you feel as though you've learned a lot going into this year and you feel better prepared for the promotion run now than what you did 12 months ago?
Playing wise, I think we're in a really good place at the moment. You always learn from season to season, the times where it's not gone well for you and the times that it's gone exceptionally well. So that's always a learning curve for a manager. Where it takes us between now and the end of the season, will the run be anything different than it was last season? It's hard to say. I think it's more competitive, this league, from top to bottom than it was last season. So I can see a number of points being dropped by all the teams that are up there, and it's like anything from season to season. If you want to be in and around the mix for the playoffs, and that's our first aim, we've got to get consistent away from home.
Final question from me. Bamber Bridge on Tuesday. This game in many ways does need to be played because it feels like a
it's a great opportunity. We will be rotating the squad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Development squad played.
We've got some exceptional young talent in the development squad who we're going to give them some minutes on Tuesday. They deserve an opportunity now. We feel that it's a great time to rest 1 or 2 of the lads in preparation for the City Liverpool game and give some of these young kids a taste of what it's all about. they've trained week in, week out with us. They've done pre-season with us, and now it's to throw them in at the deep end and see whether they can sink or swim.
Thank you. Good question, sir.
Yeah, just one on the goalkeeper situation. You brought in Bradley Wade from Rochdale. Two-part question. First part, can you give us an insight into what Tom's injury actually is? And second part, what were your thoughts on Bradley's performance today?
Tom's situation is he's tweaked his knee ligaments at Trafford, trying to make a save. It's probably a couple of weeks. He was unavailable to play for the City-Liverpool game on the 11th anyway. He was at a wedding, so we knew we had to make an adjustment in that area throughout January. The timing is not great from Tom's point of view, Tom Stewart, in picking up the injury, but he's now allowed us to bring Brad in for a 28-day loan period. He's somebody who's highly regarded, highly rated. He's got a really bright future in the game. He really impressed me in pre-season when we had Rochdale here. Caused us untold problems with his distribution. And he's somebody who we've admired and thought, the timing of Tom's injury was right to bring him in for a month and give the young man some game time. And as you saw today, he was a bit unfortunate with the second goal, but I thought his handling was fine. I think the surface probably shocked him a little bit with slipping and sliding, and not the same sort of quality he's been used to probably. But his kicking was decent, and I thought late on when they bombarded the box, I thought he showed great maturity to come and deal with things as and when he needed to. So I think overall, he's had a fine debut, and I'm sure he's looking forward to playing on Tuesday.
Thanks, Chris, as always, and we'll hopefully see you after the game on Tuesday.